All right, ECE 407, final project, alphabet recognition using convolutional neural networks. So, we explored how we can use 2D convolutional neural networks to identify and classify letters of the alphabet using Keras/TensorFlow, things we covered in class. So for the method description, we utilize the Keras API to create a simple 2D convolutional neural network with pooling layers. At the end, we had a dense network to actually make the decision of whether, for the letter recognition. We made some generators that conducted some image pre-processing and resized it to 64 by 64 pixels. We tried to fit it in the network for 20 epochs. Again, going back to class, what we learned in epoch is like a cycle. Each cycle, the weights or the biases get updated. We can observe that the model starts to overfit the training data. Again, training data, going back to class. Overfitting, going back to class. If overfitting, overtuning is like if you train the model so much that it kind of memorizes the answers instead of like learning and like adapting to generalize, to give generalized responses. So we can observe the model starts to overfit the training data almost immediately when plotting the results. And you can, the codes and the code references. The training accuracy improved until it approached 98%, whereas the validation set peaked at roughly 87%. For adding dropout, to make the model more consistent, we include dropout. We have these outliers at the ends that we don't really want to work with. So, this is in relation to that and eliminating those outliers. Dropout helps prevent overfitting by removing a percentage of neurons, setting their value to 0 at each update during the training period. By sprinkling data at random, the network's able to avoid becoming too smart and essentially memorizing the training data, allowing it to generalize to new, more data more effectively. Now for adding data augmentation. The image data generator class in Keras allowed us to generate a variety of images to use. We utilize this to create fresh photos because we're only training on 8,000 images. There are limits to how much this can help, but in the situation we saw significant improvement in accuracy. The code attached generates a data generator that takes an image from the training set and returns a significantly altered image. Then we increase the steps per epoch by 3 times, so that way we're training on 32,000 photos rather than 8,000. Training should be significantly faster if you can use more modern hardware. We're using a pretty old laptop without leveraging any GPUs or anything like that. So if you have that, you can leverage GPUs to have better results. So building the networks. So PyTorch Hub allows you to download models that have been pre-trained on ImageNet. We wanted to freeze all the parameters except the batch norm layers because they're trained to the mean standard deviation of ImageNet, and we may have lost some signal if we didn't. Next, into 1,000 classes from ImageNet, the model was trained on, we wanted to replace the classifier so that we can make predictions on our data set. For the function for training and loading data, we created the training function for the model and then wrote some code to load and process the photos we use for training, testing, and validation, double checking the figures were correct. For training and testing the models, for a few epochs, we trained using the Resonant 18 model. We could have waited a little longer and used larger batch size, but that would require like a pretty long amount of time. So these settings were fine. We compared our results to a whole lot test set and also with Resonant 34 network. This gave us 2 models, one with 92% accuracy and our test set, and the other with 90.2% accuracy. Experimental results. Taking a look at the few test pictures individually, we learned how to save them to disk and re-upload them instead of having to train them every time we opened up Jupyter Notebook. So the good thing is, like, because of ensembles, we can make predictions and reach 0.9208% or 0.9208, which is higher than any individual model, given the 2 models with accuracy of 0.90 and 0.8988. The loaded image was then scaled to fit the dataset as a single sample. To mirror the way the data was prepared during the model's training, the pixels were also centered. This is implemented using the load image function, which returns a loaded image that is ready for categorization. Conclusion and key insights. Using the convolutional neural network algorithm, we were able to attain a training accuracy of 93.53% and a validation accuracy of 91.84%. Contributions of each member. The project was completed as a group of 1. Acknowledgements. The author graciously thanks Professor Ahmet Enes Setin and TAs Hangi Pan, Dia Badawi, and Salih Athisi. The references are right there along with the code list. So going through it right here, I kind of spoiled the answer by, it says the prediction of E right here. But so going through everything, we import libraries. Again, we see as importing the familiar data generator and all the Keras stuff. 2D convolutional, max prolink, flat and dense, activation function. So we define the architecture here. We see the familiar, red loop activation functions along with softmax, and we have cross entropy in this one. The optimizer, we actually had assignments that had different optimizers. That was interesting to see in this one as well. You can see the results. So we import the data set. We rescale it a bit, and we have some things to randomize results, like we mentioned earlier, zoom, flip, shearing. So training and testing is done. Here's us training it. Different epochs, right? Cycles. Convolutional neural network is saved, and then we test it. And then here's testing, all that stuff, the file size, or target size rather. And, we make a prediction at the end. Thank you. The class was great. Thank you.